The Chevrolet Monte Carlo is a two-door coupe that was manufactured and marketed by the Chevrolet division of General Motors. Deriving its name from the city in Monaco, the Monte Carlo was marketed as the first personal luxury car of the Chevrolet brand. Introduced for the 1970 model year, the model line was produced across 6 generations through the 2008 model year, with a hiatus from 1989 until 1994. Chevrolet halted production of the Monte Carlo after the 2008 model year due to decreasing sales. The Monte Carlo had been a staple in stock car racing for Chevrolet, with the Monte Carlo SS being introduced in the 1980s, featuring sleek, aerodynamic styling. The Monte Carlo continued to represent Chevrolet in stock car racing from 1995 until its discontinuation. Drawing inspiration from the Cadillac Eldorado, the Monte Carlo boasted sleek, modern styling, including a unique Coke bottle design and hidden windshield wipers. While sharing some components with the Chevrolet Chevelle, such as the firewall, windshield, decklid, and rear window, the Monte Carlo offered an optional fiber optic exterior light monitoring system, adding an extra layer of sophistication to its already impressive features. A mid-1990s article in the magazine Chevrolet High Performance stated that the first-generation Monte Carlo was known to Chevrolet management under the working name Concours. Variable ratio power steering, power windows, air conditioning, power seats, rally wheels, bucket seats, center console, full instrumentation, rear wheel fender skirts, and other accessories were also available, bringing the price of a fully equipped Monte Carlo to more than $5,000. Optional engines included the 4-barrel carbureted turbofire 350 cu in, 5.7L, small block V8, rated at 300 HP, 220 kilowatts, 300 PS, at 4,800 RPM and 380 lb-ft, 520 Nm, at 3,200 RPM, the turbofire, 400 cu in, 6. The hood spear included a stand-up ornament with Chevrolet script lettering. The grille emblem featured the year, 1971 in Roman numerals. The trunk lock keyhole had the Monte Carlo crest surrounding it. This increase in horsepower resulted from the 454 engine using the more aggressive camshaft compared to the previous 390 HP, 291 kilowatts, 395 PS, 454 rating in the 1970 Chevrolet Corvette and full-sized sedans. After this year, the SS 454 package would be discontinued after the production of 1,919 units, but the 454 SID V8 engine would remain optional in Monte Carlos through 1975. The reason for discontinuing the SS was that the Monte Carlo was marketed as a luxury vehicle instead of a muscle car. Chevrolet did not provide gross horsepower figures for the year 1972. Only the 402 and 454 engines experienced a reduction in power compared to the output from the previous year. The updated power ratings for the Monte Carlo models were as follows: in California, which had emissions standards more stringent than federal law, the 4-barrel carbureted 350 was the standard and only available engine. 0 km per hour, bumper that was among the required 1973 federal safety standards for all passenger cars sold in the U.S. with the 5 miles per hour, 8. A split bench seat was standard, but strato bucket seats of a new design were optional, along with a floor console featuring an equally new shifter with knob and button similar to Pontiac's Rally Sports shifter replacing the Buick-like horseshoe shifter of previous years, and storage compartment. The bucket seats were of a one-piece high-back design with built-in headrests and could swivel almost 90 degrees to permit the driver and front passenger easier entry and exit, a feature previously offered on the 1962 Chrysler 300h. Cloth and vinyl trims were offered for bench and bucket seats. 6L, 4-barrel, the top engine in that market. The base 350 cu in, 5.7L, 2-barrel was rated at 145 HP, 108 kilowatts, standard in 49 states. The 350 SID 4-barrel was rated at 155 HP, 116 kilowatts, available only in California. The 400 SID 4-barrel 175 HP, 130 kilowatts, and the 454 SID 4-barrel 215 HP, 160 kilowatts, now equipped with single exhaust with dual exhaust as an option. In 1974, sales decreased from the previous year's high levels because of increased list prices, a national economy experiencing high inflation rates, and introduction of rival models by Chrysler and Dodge. Approximately 250,000 Monte Carlo units were produced before the end of the production period. The big block 454 cu in 74L V8 was discontinued. The turbo-hydromatic transmission became standard equipment on all 1976 Monte Carlos. Sales for the year totaled 224,327 for the S-Coupe and 186,711 for the Landau Coupe. All GM intermediate-sized cars, including the Monte Carlo, were downsized for the 1978 model year in response to the 1973 Arab oil embargo and CAFE requirements. The 1978 model was 700 to 800 pounds lighter and 15 inches shorter than the 1977 model. 0L V8, the first time a 4-speed manual was offered on the Monte Carlo since 1971. Minor trim changes were made to the 1979 Monte Carlo, including a restyled grille, revised parking lamp detail, and new wraparound tail lamps. Mechanical changes included a new Chevrolet-built 200 cu in 3.25. The metric 200 3-speed automatic transmission became standard on all models, and a new Chevrolet-built 229 cu in 3.8L V6 with 2-barrel Rochester carburetor replaced both the 200 cu in 3.3L V6 of 1979 and the Buick engine offered on all 1978 models and the 1979 Landau as the standard engine in 49 states. California cars continued to use the Buick engine. 25. A power trunk opener was still optional. 25. There were 13,839 turbo Monte Carlos built in 1980. A new 5-slot, 14-inch rally wheel option was introduced, the slots having squared ends and a pointed edge. This was later shared with subsequent Chevrolet/GMC A/G bodies and the Chevrolet S10 light-duty truck. The majority of the engines were carried over from the previous year, except for the discontinuation of the turbocharged 231 cu in V6 and the Monte Carlo turbo model. New additions for 1982 included a 260 cu in V6 and an Oldsmobile 350 cu in V8, both diesel engines. The introduction of GM's new midsize platform led to a change in chassis designations, with the new midsize cars labeled as A-body cars and the previous A-body cars now named G-bodies. The 1984 year model coupe production totaled 112,730 with an additional 24,050 had the SS option, with a 180 HP, 130 kilowatts, 305 V8 29 that saw a 5 HP, 37 kilowatts, boost from the previous year. The Monte Carlo SS was available with Strato bucket seats and floor console as extra cost options for the first time in place of the standard split bench seat with armrest. The Strato buckets also returned as an option on the regular Monte after a 2-year absence along with the T-top option. In 1984, a limited number of Monte Carlo SSS were made in Mexico for Mexican sale. The differences are many compared to US/Canadian SSS. There was no rear spoiler. The SS now came standard with a 4-speed automatic overdrive transmission called the Turbo-Hydromatic 200-4R, featuring a revised sport rear axle ratio of 3.73:1. The 229 cu in 3.3L V6 engine with throttle body fuel injection, boosting its output to 130 horsepower. The optional 5.0 LV8 also received a power increase, going from 150 to 165 horsepower due to a higher compression ratio. The base coupe had minimal visual changes, while the SS version had some modifications. Color options for the SS expanded to include silver, maroon, and black in addition to the original white and dark blue metallic. Sales figures for the 1985 Monte Carlo totaled around 120,000, with the SS model experiencing an increase in sales from 24,050 to 35,484 units. Modifications to the Super Sport body included a more deeply sloped rear window and a shorter trunk lid with a lower spoiler than the previous Super Sports version. A total of 200 Aero Coupes were sold, which was the number NASCAR required for road model features to be incorporated into the racing cars. 32 all 200 were built in Arlington, Texas, finished in white with burgundy interior and sent to Cars Concepts in Michigan for the conversion. For 1998, the Z34 received redesigned alloy wheels, with the previous style remaining optional on the LS. The LS version of the fifth-generation Monte Carlo was the last widely produced two-door sedan that could seat 6 passengers. Like most coupes and many four-door cars, the Z34 model came with bucket seats and a shifter on the floor. In 2004, the Dale Jr. edition came out. It was red with a black high sport kit. The number 8, with an E-stripe design, went from the doors to the rear bumper. The fan speed for heat and air conditioning was changed from the previous year's 5 settings to 10. The Intimidator edition was re-released in 2004. However, the vehicle featured Intimidator badges on the trunk lid and both side panels. Edition, except the bow tie on the center cap was white this time. This edition also received a GML67 supercharged 3800 V6 engine. Production of the Monte Carlo car at Oshawa Car Assembly Plant No. 1 was stopped after it was announced in February 2007 that the model would be discontinued. And when it comes to building a legend, the Monte Carlo nameplate packs serious potential. Stock, this particular Monte Carlo SS offered 180 horsepower. That was a thoroughly respectable figure for 1988, but its G-body platform was capable of handling a lot more thrill. Stock, this particular Monte Carlo SS offered 180 horsepower. That was a thoroughly respectable figure for 1988, but its G-body platform was capable of handling a lot more thrill. It's now fit with a Chevrolet Performance Connect Cruise Crate powertrain system. It's just a matter of what year and model of Monte Carlo you prefer. There are plenty to choose from to suit your tastes and pocketbook. In the autumn of 1969, Chevrolet introduced the Monte Carlo, a model that echoed the Pontiac Grand Prix V8s, and a huge 454 cu. The Monte Carlo got off to a great start, with 145,975 sold in the first year, which was about triple the sales of the Ford Thunderbird. There were very minor styling changes for the 1971 model year, including revisions to the front grille, headlights, parking lamps, and tail lights. To describe its acceleration as merely brisk would be an understatement, given its impressive performance. In the first year, 3,823 Monte Carlos were produced with the SS 454 option. In 1971, just 1,919 Monte Carlos had the optional 454 V8, and that marked the final year for the big engine in Monte Carlos. Despite the downsizing, the Monte Carlo boasted increased interior and trunk space. The base engine was a 200 cu V6, and drivers had the option to upgrade to a 305 V8 or a 350 cu. Monte Carlo sales had been going down since 2003. Just 32,567 were sold in the 2006 model year, and the decision was made to end production. The final Monte Carlo was made in June 2007.